Yeah, I'm really afraid it's a bottleneck. I just can't afford to upgrade my computer this very second. Wow, why'd these get knocked way up? No anti-aliasing. This might actually be what was causing the problem just now, was these got all bumped up somehow. Um, all my CPU is currently only at about 50% according to that. Let's see if lowering these back, because like I don't need fancy reflections for the gameplay aspect games. If it's one that's purely a visual game, then sure it's more important. I guess that's true too. Um, 65. Where'd those vibrants go? Yeah, it's definitely getting up there on occasion. Something to fight. So in a game with fighting, fighting is going to be the main thing that tells you whether the game's overloaded. I don't want to go too far and set off any quest things, since I'm usually co-streaming this. Where the hell did everything go? There we go. Right, we're at 66, so that's a good sign. Got two things, which isn't anywhere near as many enemies as you can have on the game.
Well! More bad guys!
72. And part of this right now is also running with Chrome in the background for guides, so if Chrome's off, it'll probably run better too, in general. But right now I just had that open while I was trying to figure out the settings, so that'll definitely lower the CPU by probably 20% when this goes away. I wish I had someone in town I knew was really good at building computers that could upgrade mine. But otherwise I have to go to like an actual shop, which means that I can only do what they're going to probably do for financial purposes as far as best recommendations. And so it's not going to be like if I have someone who's actually like my pal and knows how to build games to recommend what to put in it. Because, I mean, this is an old computer. This is an 8-year-old computer. Well, no, not 8. Pretty close. It's 7 years old. It's an old computer. It needs upgraded. Oh, did you? Oh, well, if you have advice on what all to get to upgrade this, it needs a new motherboard, a new GPU, possibly two if I can afford it. Oh god, they're probably really embarrassing because it's still like a GTX 960. It's old. Let's see here. Settings. System info. It's an i7 4970 CPU, 3.6 gigahertz, 3.6 gigahertz, 12 gigs RAM. 64-bit. Where's my video card information stuff? Because yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a 960. I think that's what I have. I definitely don't have anything with 4 digits in it, and I don't have one of the newer AMDs that are apparently really good. The biggest things that definitely need upgraded are the video card, the motherboard, and that way I can get more RAM, because this caps at 16. I can't get more than 16 gigs of RAM, and I figured if I was going to upgrade it again, instead of just buying 4 gig stick and kind of teetering along, I just upgrade the motherboard and get 32 or 64 so that it's not anywhere near that struggle.
There's a marble close by.
Oh, is there? Definitely still does some weird stuff though. Like, it's frozen right now. The game is. I don't know that they're all the same speed. I think there's 2 of one and 1 of a different one. I think is how it is. I think there's 3 sticks and 2 are the same and 1's different. But at the time, it was all I could afford. There's the... So I gotta get up to that. Just have to get to it from the roof. I would imagine so. And I think they're HDD4, but I'm not even sure on that either. I'm not super knowledgeable when it comes to all the specs. That's why I said I wish I had someone I didn't know that that's what you used to do. The only other thing I'm wondering, it might be 3 all the same, because I think I got them all at the same time. I think I couldn't afford a 4th one, so I got 3, and they're all the same speed, because they all have the same LEDs on the side, and they all look identical. So they might all be the same stick. That is possible. But on the bright side so far, at least it says I'm not dropping frames, which was the biggest thing. Because, I mean, it's bad to have jitter in general. I hate jitter. But when I'm dropping frames and I have like 2 seconds of video with nothing happening on the screen and don't realize it because I can't see that at the same time, I can't afford and don't have the space for 2 screens. I'd love to. And so, as it stands, I have just this with 1 screen, and so my video has to block the game or my game block the video, so I have to switch back and forth to see issues with it. Yeah, it's definitely not the most optimal, but I set this up in 2015, so it's also based on very, very old context. But I would, yeah, definitely love to upgrade. It's just a matter of finding the right stuff. So if you have a good recommendation for the best value motherboard and best value DDR4 sorry, I said HDD earlier. DDR4 RAM and the best value video card or cards to upgrade to, that would probably help a lot, because I don't want to just go in and say, hey, just make me a better PC. I want to keep as much of this as I can, because I really don't want to have to reinstall everything, for one. And so if I don't have to just get a new PC and switch them out, as many pieces I can just interchange would be ideal. DDR3, so with 4 it's dual channel, so you'll ideally need a kit. Yeah, it was at the time I had maybe $600 to my name, and I was with a guy that was able to actually get me a pretty decent price. It's just that I could only afford 3 sticks at the time. And although I do have to say, for this computer costing me between $600 and $800, it has successfully streamed for 7 years. I got this right before I started streaming. It is a very workhorse of a PC. It really, really is. As of now, because see, for a long time I thought my drop frames were due to having bad internet. That's what I really thought it was down to, because I used to be getting, despite the fact that we paid for much more, our internet would get 60 gigs max. That's all it could do. Anything more than that would cap out. It would not do anything. Well, they recently, the internet company that we have, said our wiring was all old, and without any extra cost to our bill, which is fantastic, rewired the whole house, all the internet. So that's wonderful. And it went from, what was it? It went from, I think, capping around 60 to now I can get like 240. And so when I noticed I was still having drop frame issues, that's when I started worrying a lot more. Because I was thinking, I'll just cap everything as much as I can and hope it stays. And couldn't tell what was computer and what was internet. And when I hear lag, usually my brain goes to internet, so I didn't really know what the problems were. Come back here, guy. I'm trying to test, guy. Come back here.
Who's up for some fun?
Oh, there's another one. Alright. But yeah, if you end up coming up with an idea of what would be a best recommendation for me, when you have time, obviously you're a very, very busy guy. When you have time, if you can just DM me those parts, I can see if I can find a place in town that can install them for me. Or, if it really is as easy a plug and play as people say, I can try it myself, but I don't know how to clock things or any of that, so I'd much rather send it to someone if I have to. Because I don't want to try fiddling with stuff and ruin my PC. But I definitely am happy that I'm not seeing the drop frame alert, because I was getting about 170 drop frame alerts over 3 hours over the last few days when I've been doing this, and so that's why I just completely redid all of the settings on everything in OBS to try and fix it. I found out some of the things that I was doing to save were actually working against the speed, and some of them were not doing anything for me, so that helped to get those to better scaling. But more than anything, I'm just wanting to get rid of the jittering, and then like I said, I do intend to upgrade. It's just a matter of having money to do it, and knowing what to get more specifically. There are a couple skipped frames. All I can say, work out for you. You're gonna want to go Intel or AMD. Intel sucks because initially each gets you a build. I want to upgrade the next gen. That's it. AMD has longevity, but yeah. Next, it's like working up the RAMs on your set. Yeah, because that's the other thing is my motherboard maxes at 32. And so I wanted to originally do 64 back when I was looking, and then realized that I would actually have to upgrade the motherboard, so I had to drop it at the time. Because I don't really want to upgrade it once and be done. Because then it's a bigger pain down the line. I mean, I guess it's about the same, it's just it would cost me twice instead of just doing it once and going as far ahead as I can to make strides. Instead of just tiptoeing upgrades and spending 3 times as much to do it that way. But yeah, I didn't know whether you by chance knew. Okay, so show me how things. How much is DDR4 versus DDR5? Because obviously I would like to have the best, which is, I'm guessing, 5, since 4 is, I'm guessing, the previous generation. Because, again, if it's all affordable, what I can do is I can, on a non-Bandcamp Friday weekend... Yeah, no, I can do that. The drop frames are significantly less, which is at least a really good sign. So is it as jittery? If I do this, does it, like, struggle? Or does it seem like it's doing okay? Because when I'm spinning, I don't want it to, like, kind of thing. Hardware I'm using? Okay, cool. Well, then I will exit this so that it'll warp me back to wherever the hell I'm supposed to be. Because I can't do anything else while I'm in-game anyway. I have to shut off the stream. But yeah, if you can text me how to do that thing in PowerShell to show your full specs, I can try and send that to you so you can see if there's anything that looks like it needs the most upgrade. Because yeah, I want it as high quality as I can get it within my price range. You know, I'm not going to be spending $2,000 on a computer anytime soon. Download spec key. Spec key. Is it free? Oh, is it owned by CCleaner? I didn't know about this. So oops. Ah, line. Alright, so this is... Need to view release notes. Oh, I also don't want them to upgrade me to 11, because I really don't want to deal with their weird new cloud computing nonsense. Says 12 gigabytes dual channel DDR3 at 666 megahertz 9-9-9-24. Motherboard is Gigabyte technology. It's a H97. Yeah, I noticed that earlier, but I don't know what's causing that. I don't know. 11. See, but the biggest thing I've heard is that when you go between computers, anything that's saved through on 11 has an encryption on it that means if it transfers between computers, send certain files to someone on a Linux computer. Because I've heard a lot of bad things about 11 so far. Mike's dropping out? Oh, maybe I have my compressor set wrong. Maybe that's, well, that wouldn't be causing the white noise, though. Oh, I hit the wrong setting. What's a good noise gate? Is noise gate 39, minus 39, minus 37 pretty good? I can't remember. I had to fiddle with it at one point because I had something in the background and I don't remember whether I screwed up the settings or not. And then... yeah, that's the main thing, is the noise gate, I think. Is it picking me up? It could be that I'm being too quiet. Sorry for the scratching. I'm moving my mic to see if that'll help at all. Um, I mean, at some point I'm going to have to switch to 11 anyway, because at some point 10's going to just become obsolete entirely. But, let's see. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, GTX 960 is what I have. GTX 960. SLI disabled. I don't know. If you need any of this specific information, I can DM it to you or something. Because I don't know what I'm looking for and what you would be interested in needing to know for what would be the best recommendations to upgrade. But yeah, as long as it's not really jittery, and it's always just the game that seems to jitter. Like, our camera down here will do fine. So I'm guessing it doesn't have to do with the video card, because it's still sending the video okay. So it has to probably be some sort of CPU issue. Too much running on too little memory kind of thing. It looks like I have a 4-core. Well, I mean, since I'm not doing anything super hardcore or fancy with my computers, maybe it'll be okay. I just had heard a lot of negative things from some techies, and since I only had that to go off of. But if you like 11 and you use it for a lot of things, it might be okay to upgrade. Screen cap which page though? Just the summary or which one? Let me send this to you. There you are. It's much easier to stream everything when all you're doing is stuff like Undertale that's not designed to have super intense graphics. But once I start playing these other games that we do enjoy to play, things like this come up. Although it got much better, because for a year, if you look at our stuff from last year, I didn't realize my old mixer board was dying, and it kept causing a static effect throughout all of our videos. And so you'd just be sitting there and all of a sudden it'd just start buzzing, kind of like Bowser Fire from Super Mario Brothers, the original Super Mario Brothers. And we kept trying to figure out what it was, and I replaced cords, and I replaced microphones, and finally I realized it was probably the mixer board. And so we have like an entire year of essentially ruined videos because of that audio error. Yeah, that's the other thing, is I definitely don't ever like to try out new OSs before updates, because the first few ones are usually really rough. This whole thing has definitely been a learning situation. I've used tutorials here and there throughout, but a lot of it's been learning on the fly. So like when we first started, we had one microphone, which for two people didn't work very well, and then I learned you couldn't use two microphones without a mixer board, and so I had to go get a mixer board. Yeah, no, I definitely wouldn't want to do that. I have enough trouble when they update a browser and then there's like two hot fixes afterwards. I don't know that I'd want to try and do a updated OS fresh out the box. That sounds like a nightmare. Skipped and dragged frames is better than drop frames too. So I haven't had to do it in a long time. I don't remember the transfer from when we did 7 to 10, because that was one I wanted to do, was the switch from 7 to 10, because I was told 10 was significantly better than 7. Um, and that 7 was significantly better than Vista. Those two I only heard mostly positive switches between, because I was told Vista was essentially the worst. Although they still haven't fixed in MS Paint ever since 7. Sometimes when you adjust the scale of something, it deletes one pixel off the side, so when you're doing pixel art, that's a big pain in the ass. Digression aside. If I do a fresh install, it doesn't have to risk formatting my hard drive or anything, does it? Or should I pull out any of my extra hard drives? Or what? See, no, I wouldn't have wanted 8. I skipped 8 entirely. I did not use 8. I didn't like the format. I didn't like having to click to click to click just to get to my desktop. I really didn't like the setup of 8. I used it a couple times as testing, but it just felt so awkward and unwieldy to me. Yeah, I didn't like anything about when I used 8. I found it very awkward and peculiar. yeah, I didn't find it enjoyable to use at all. Live Tiles was okay, but I feel like they should have done it the other way. I should feel like you should have had to click to get to Live Tiles instead of having to click from Live Tiles to get to desktop. I feel like that was their biggest oversight with that. But I also didn't really use. I pretty much use a very streamlined. My setup is very Spartan as far as the things I use. I open Steam, I open Discord, and I open a folder if I have to open a folder, and I open a browser if I have to open a browser, and I don't use like anything else on my streaming computer, especially on my one that I use over there for my just regular use computer, watching YouTube videos or things like that. I use a few more programs, and that's where I use Krita for my art and all that. But for my streaming computer, I don't have a whole bunch of stuff going on at the same time. And these two aren't, I mean, they're on the same network, but they're not like networked in any way. I can't like quick send things back and forth between these or anything like that. Because I don't know how to do any of that. So anytime I have to transfer data from one to the other, I have to put it on USB and move it across the room, put it on USB over there. And I have a big external hard drive that has all my music on it, and so if I have to use my USBs for other stuff, since I don't have a tower, because I don't have anywhere to put a tower, my my desk is very cluttered. I don't have anywhere to keep it plugged in all the time, so sometimes I just have to go without my music. Oh yeah, I'm sure it's really easy, or I mean, I'm sure it is a game changer rather, because it is a pain in the butt. Because there's sometimes where I'll be like, well, I'll just do it later because I don't want to deal with transferring stuff. How you music share? How do you music share? I don't use anything on Stream or Cloud. Everything I have is on some sort of physical memory system at my computer or at my house. I don't have any. I don't like the idea of the cloud. I don't like the contracts that come with a lot of companies on the cloud, even though they won't probably do anything. I don't like the idea that they can do something, so I really don't like things like that, for example. Oh yeah, also, look, I got a cool new streaming chair for Christmas. My parents got me a new gaming chair because my old one was pleather and it was raining broken pieces of pleather all over the carpet. Oh yeah, no, I used iTunes forever. I only really stopped using iTunes the more and more I got to dislike Apple. There's just things about Apple I don't like and I don't want to use their products. Um, but I used iTunes forever. In fact, I think my music folder. No, I changed it. For a long time, my music folder was called iTunes, even though it was just my general music folder for everything. So I would just move any music I had into the iTunes folder. I didn't. I mean, I used iTunes a lot when I was like 2007 to 2014, probably. I used iTunes a ton. Um, Now I'm all about that physical media as much as I can. I mean, I was then too, but I used to just transfer everything into there. Now I just extract it through like VLC or Windows Media Player, whatever opens up. But everything I have is physical, if I can help it. Oh yeah, no, I and it's a tough decision. It really is on that cuz iTunes is a decent platform And I don't really like Amazon any more than I like Apple. Follow PC, sign in an Apple account, and turn media share on, and then all machines running iTunes show. Yeah, that does sound very non-Apple. They're very weirdly proprietary about everything all the time. Um, but it could be because since music is kind of a universal thing and they can't harness it all under their control, they had to just kind of go with what the culture dictated was going to work on that. They probably couldn't get the clout to just overrule all of those kind of expectations. But the biggest thing is all of the major digital distributors and even digital streaming companies for audio, even video. I'm not really a huge fan of streaming on this platform, but it's just kind of the one that I already have everything set up on. I have qualms with all of them. Oh yeah, no, they've done everything they can. Yeah, Apple likes to own things, own a lot of things. I don't like Apple for that reason. I don't like Amazon for that reason. I don't like Meta for that reason. I really am not a big fan of a lot of those major companies. It's just unfortunate that you have to have all of that corporate power behind you and all that kind of stuff to even run anything remotely scalable to a global audience for those types of things. Bandcamp's kind of my favorite, but I really don't like Epic either. I really have a lot of problems with Epic, even if they did make one of the earliest games I remember making custom maps on. I remember ZZT. I played hours and hours and hours and hours of ZZT, and so it's weird to think that the company that made that little game with a just a uh, this is your character at the time was the one that ended up making what is now one of the most successful games on the planet, and happens to also own Bandcamp. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if one day they tried to buy Twitch, honestly. Yeah, it's weird that they would cancel Unreal Tournament because isn't there still demand for Gears, and isn't Gears basically a single player slash multiplayer offshoot of Unreal? And there's a lot of people who are die-hard lovers of the Gears franchise. I'm not really, like, emotionally bound to many shooters because I'm generally not that good at shooters. Borderlands and, to a lesser extent, the Fallout games are about the only ones I play as far as shooters. Usually we play a lot more indie games, a lot of platformers and RPGs, stuff like that. And I mean, even Borderlands to some extent is an RPG. I mean, it's definitely very FPS, and I don't think you can. Well, you can do third person, I think. I don't remember how in it. Yeah, I mean, once something becomes its own beast, it's gonna go where it goes. Um, Game of the year? I'm just terrible at shooters, is the biggest thing. I like more cartoony, goofy shooters. Like, we stream Team Fortress 2. Shin likes Overwatch, although I've never streamed it because I don't want to download Blizzard's thing. Um, we did a tiny bit of Paladins for a while. I like a couple of the characters in Paladins, although I didn't really play it very well because I'm not good at shooters. We played the Borderlands games. We played Dune 2016, which was the first major benchmark of testing this because it came out a year after I got this computer and it ran pretty well on decent specs. Well, I mean, you couldn't do like ultra, but you could play it on decent specs and still stream, which was pretty awesome. Um, I don't know. generally shooters will do them if they're the right flavor, but we don't usually do those. I tend to do mostly indie games, is a lot of what I play. Mostly story based. Well, Earth Defense Force, I guess, is a third-person shooter, but we also do games with shooting in them, such as like Saints Row and stuff like that. I never was a big fan of. It's just too grim of a world, the Rockstar universe is. Yeah, no, I have. How many games do I have? I have, I think, 1,600 from a bundle on itch.io. And then, or I guess it's itch.io. I've always called it itch.io. I have 841 games on Steam. That doesn't include Minecraft. That doesn't include any of my physicals, although I haven't bought a console since the Wii. No, that's true. Not true. The 3DS was the last one I got. It came out